Okay, this is our study notes for the retest for Unit 4, and this is part 2. We've already filled out the top part of this page with the notes, and now we're going to work some problems. One of the kind of problems we did was this algebra review about parallel and perpendicular lines. So I'm going to scoot it where we can see this part above here that we did on the previous video about lines. And basically, we have two kinds here, where one where we want to write the parallel and one where we want to write the perpendicular. And one kind of problem, they just give us a line and they ask us to write the equations from it. Well, what we really care about is the slope. Parallel lines have the same slope and perpendicular lines have these negative reciprocals. So the first thing I always say is, well, first we have to find the slope of this one. So over here we need to do rise over run. And the first thing I notice that some people have trouble with is actually figuring out what it is on the graph. So what I suggest is, if you look at these, you can either count the boxes, 1, 2, 3, or you can just subtract 4 minus 1 is 3. But this part here is 3, and then this part here is 1. So this is a slope of 3 over 1, which is just 3. It's an uphill line, so it's positive, so it's 3. So on each one of these both use this graph. I like to write down what my new slope is that I'm going to use. I find if I write it down, then there's not so much stuff I'm trying to remember in my head. Well, I know for a parallel line it has the same slope, and for a perpendicular line we said that I need to flip it over, so I flipped 3 over. 3 over 1 becomes 1 over 3, and I need to change the sign, so it was positive, I need to make it negative. Then I also have my point up here, so I'm going to be plugging the slope in to the point slope form. The slope goes in for the m, and the point goes in for the x and x1 and the y1. So this is my x1 and my y1. So I just plug these in. Y minus negative 2 equals m is my slope. I'm plugging them into this thing up here. Oops. X minus x1 is 3. Now, I do want you to rewrite this in slope-intercept form, which is our one we use most of the time. So I need to distribute this and change this to plus or positive. So distribute minus the 2, and we get y equals 3x minus 11, which is our equation. Over here, we're going to do the same thing. Plug it in for this right here. Here's my y2, my slope, x minus x1, which is 3. Again, distribute. This is again positive, negative 1/3. Negative 3 times negative 1/3 is positive 1 minus 2. So there's our equation. All right, we have two more of this kind of problem on the next page. Okay, so now they say they give me an equation this time instead of giving me a a graph. I'm given an equation. So first I have to find the slope from this, and this is in standard form. So the first thing we need to do is rewrite this form into this form here so that I can find the slope. So I'm going to copy this down. And I need to get it as a y equal. So I'm going to minus the 3x. And I get y equals negative 3x plus 6. So this is my old slope, and my new slope for a line that's parallel is going to be the same slope. We said over here on the previous side that that was the same slope if they're parallel. So my new slope is also going to be negative 3. So here's my slope, here's my point. Now we're going to plug it in just like we did on the previous side. Y minus, we're using this equation, y minus y1, which is 5, equals negative 3, x minus x1, which is 3. Distribute, y minus 5 equals negative 3x plus 9, plus the 5 on both sides, y equals negative 3x plus 14. If I went a little fast for you, pause the video, go back, listen to it again until you've got this down. Same thing here. Mine, I fixed it on your copy, but this is 4x. It was over there. So I'm going to take this, rewrite it. 4x plus y equals 8 minus the 4x. So I get y equals negative 4x plus 8. My new slope on this one, I want to write a line perpendicular. So remember, I need to flip it over. So I'm going to flip this over. That's 1/4. And I need to change this line. It was negative, so now it's going to be positive. There's my new slope. Now, once again, I'm just going to plug it in here just like I have on the previous couple of problems. Y minus, y1 is negative 1. Here's my new slope. X minus x1, which is 4. Distribute. Y plus 1 equals 1/4. X minus 1. Minus 1 on both sides. Y equals 1/4. X minus 2. There's my equation. And I'd put it up there. All right. I'm going to do the rest of this on part 3, so stay tuned for the next video.